Welcome back, folks. The Global Outlook segment is sponsored by Maury's newsletter, Global Outlook. To get a complimentary copy, just log on to our website, theworldreport.org. Egyptian youth face trial for insulting Islam, while Denmark gives $58,000 to jihadis fighting in Syria. Turkey's Erdogan vows to invade Jerusalem if re-elected. And the painful loss of Ramadi, as we predicted, Saudi Arabia announces plans to nuke up in a deal with Pakistan that the Saudis helped finance. Ramadi falling is a big deal because it's the largest province in Iraq.
Yeah, no, it's the main city of the Anbar province, which is the largest province
and
in Iraq.
And it's 80 miles, 70 miles from Baghdad.
70 miles from
Baghdad. Which is right on the doorstep.
Yes.
This administration and the Pentagon continues to sugarcoat things, and it's not that bad, and we're making progress, and they're being defeated. Nothing could be further from the truth. Christians are being slaughtered. There's a Holocaust going on in Iraq and Syria.
I would say that's true.
So what does Ramadi falling mean to you? To me, I see the Sunni influence coming in, the ISIS influence already there. That's a powder keg ready to blow up.
Yes, I agree with everything you said, other than the fact that ISIS is a lot stronger than anybody gives them credit for. They have become a murderous Nazi type of army, and they have people from all over the world joining them, and they are well financed by having a couple of oil fields that they generate the money.
They've looted all the banks, the antiquities.
They've looted the banks. They have 100,000 people have fled from Ramadi. Now, I don't know how many they had. Let's say they had maybe 400,000 people. That'd be a quarter of the... By the way, you know that Syria, which had a population of 16 million 10 years ago, 25% of the Syrians have fled and are now in Europe. They're all over the world. I mean, this is a worst indictment yet of the Islamic Middle East and how they have butchered this part of the world so badly, and all the people that are in charge there should be blamed.
So Ramadi falls, that's more ISIS territory, it's more ISIS control.
Well, also we were lied to. We were lied to just a week ago when our great State Department head, John Kerry, said, "Oh, don't worry, there's some pressure going on, but we'll work it out okay." Everything to him is, we'll work it out. We'll work out a deal with Iran. We'll work out. This man not only doesn't know what he's doing, or he's either deliberately lying on everything he's saying, or else he's one of the most stupid people ever to be Secretary of State. Yeah, maybe so.
It could be both.
Could be both.
I mean, he's been a traitor going back to the 1970s when he went up in Capitol Hill against his own platoon mates, his own country.
He went against whether you felt it was a bad war or good war. The fact is that was the patriotic way of looking at it. Was we had 500,000 people involved in there, and we lost 10% of them. Remember, those were the days of conscription, that you were still drafted and you could be sent over there, and the point is that Kerry, who was nothing but a journalist or would-be journalist, he never got into any fighting himself, had the audacity to be seen on television condemning the United States for interfering in the internal affairs of Indochina.
So now we have the Iranian militias that are coming in to Ramadi in Iraq. These are the same folks that fought the Americans back in 2003.
It's the Revolutionary Guard,
which is just as bad as ISIS. I mean, they're just as brutal.
Yeah, it's like again, you know, I love to use the German analogy. They are the SS forces of Iran as opposed to the regular army, and those people will do. They will kill you, torture you, do anything they feel like doing. Nobody can stop them. And you mentioned
this in previous shows that the Nazis tried to hide their atrocities.
Yes.
These people want it front and center. I mean, they're willing to put it right out on the internet and brag about it. Throwing people off of buildings, burning people in cages, drowning them in the sea. These guys are as brutal as it gets, and they have a mission. The Nazis were agnostic. These people think that they have a mission from Allah. That's much scarier to me.
Yeah, the Nazis were what I would call nihilists. They wanted to just destroy everything and then create this new Aryan society. But they had, you're right, they were not of the Abrahamic religions, whether that was Christian, Jewish, or supposedly Islamic. These people, you're absolutely right, they believe that Allah has commanded them to do everything. And they're talking about 17 or 27, I don't know how many virgins. But the point is they're using that as an excuse. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know. I've never met any crazy Islamists, fortunately. But I think those people are just murderers. That's basically, to them, murder is like you and I going and playing ping pong one afternoon.
Do you see that this becoming the spot where the showdown could happen with Sunni versus Shia?
I think it's developing right now.
In Iraq and Syria.
In Iraq, in Syria, and it's going to spread throughout the Middle East.
And now that we have reports that Saudi Arabia is making deals with Pakistan to buy nuclear warheads because they're scared to death for their survival.
Oh, are they ever?
So as it spreads, when does it come to a head? It's got to be sometime soon. You think it happens this year?
I would say the chances are better than even that something is going to have to give in the second half of this year.
And why couldn't we put a strongman like a Sisi in Egypt into Iraq?
Well, we don't put people into Sisi took power in spite of America, not because of
Correct.
America. Because we had Morsi, we had the Islamic Brotherhood,
who just got sentenced to death.
Yeah, but that whether he does it, doesn't. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, no matter if he lives to be 100 years old. They're going to make his life pretty miserable. So I don't think that means too much. They sentenced 100 other people to death too. I think Sisi has just let people know, don't start fooling with me because you're going to be in trouble. For instance, right now, you don't hear much about the Sinai anymore. They just killed a lot of those people. And Sisi has a very strong relationship with Bibi Netanyahu of Israel. They don't make it public. They don't talk in front of cameras, but I can tell you they're working together. And this is the one thing that's finally, it has calmed down the situation in Gaza.
So do you see Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, UAE kind of forming a coalition together?
I think they already are. Not overtly, but they find, the enemy of my enemies is my friend, and so on. Out of sheer desperation, yes, very definitely. They have the same survival. They all, together, they either survive, they won't survive separately.
And so do they fight ISIS? Do they accept ISIS? And this is a very confusing situation because you've got so many different facts of the religion. You've got Wahhabi, you've got Sunni, you've got Shia, you've got the Peshmerga, which are the Kurds.
No. That's not. Don't insult the Kurds by making them part of the Islamic group. They're not. The Kurds are not. They may have at one time have been. I think, if anything, you talk to any Kurd. I don't know if you ever met any
I have
Kurd.
not. I've had some cheese curd, but
no, they are very civilized people. They're like the Armenians are Christians. The Kurds were offshoot of the original Islamists. But today I would say I would not call them Islamists.
Well, okay, so the Israelis are Jew, but they're going to have to side with one side or the other when this whole thing
Well, they
comes
already
down.
are.
Okay, so the Kurds are going to end up siding with that side of the
Actually,
Jew.
the Kurds and the Israelis have gotten along fine all the way.
So does the ISIS-Sunni fact, does that come into play with Saudi Arabia on their side, or do they fight Saudi Arabia? How do you feel this whole thing playing out?
First of all, ISIS are freebooters. They don't associate. They are more Sunni. I mean, they are. I would say they're the extreme group of Sunnis that have nothing to stop them. They're not a land, they're not a country that is of a Sunni religion. They're just a bunch of crazies.
So they'll fight the Shias, or they'll fight the Jews, or they'll fight other Sunnis. They just really don't care.
They are they're killers. That's all they are. They get great delight out of torturing and killing people. That's basically what their objective is.
So when it comes down to it, is there going to be 3 sides to this war, or is there going to be 2 sides to this
actually,
war?
You've got the 2 major sides are the Sunnis. You got Saudi Arabia is big, and Turkey is basically a Sunni country. Egypt is basically a Sunni country. The United Arab Emirates are a Sunni country, and then Iran is really the real powerhouse of the Shias. I mean, the Iranians are to the Shia interpretation of Islam what Germany was to Nazism.
And now we find out that the West is so foolish and so stupid. Denmark has been financing through welfare benefits jihadis fighting in Syria. We're never going to learn, are we?
Well, first of all, when you talk about the Scandinavian countries, they're pathetic. They really are. They didn't learn anything at all from the Second War. I guess Sweden sat out. You know, Sweden actually was providing the Nazi Germans with iron ore. Just like, Switzerland was producing ammunition for the Germans. The Swiss actually shot down 2 British bombers that were trying to bomb one of those plants.
And so they try to claim independence and sovereignty.
They are to me, don't get me started on the Swiss. I think the Swiss are one of the worst countries in the world, and they still are getting away with murder.
Two-faced.
Yeah, very two-faced.
We need to take a brief time out. Our Homeland Security, Political Insider, and Moment in History are coming up. If you want to watch the entire show or just catch one of our segments, it's simple, it's free. Just log on to our website, theworldreport.org. If you want to ask either one of us a question, again, log on to our website. It's Maury at The World Report or Scott at The World Report. Remember to like us and recommend us, and certainly leave